Hey, I'm Marie Poulin. In this video, I want to share with you a kind of fun New Year's tradition that we do, which we used to do in Analog and now we're doing in Notion. So basically what we've been doing since 2016 is we've been collecting daily highlights inside of a jar like this every day, whenever we feel like it. And at the end of the year, on New Year's Eve, we go through and we just read them together as a couple. Now, even if you're not coupled up, this is totally something that you can do to just celebrate the things that you do every day. It can be funny memories, jokes, gratitude, just something fun that happened, a really good memory. It's just a really great way to remember what happened throughout the year because we can kind of forget those things that happen at a daily basis. And so when you take stock at the end of the year and you look at what did I do, what filled up my cup, what made me happy and excited and joyful, it's a really fun thing to do to go through and read off those memories. So again, we used to do this in an analog fashion. Now we're doing this in Notion because my husband and I both use Notion for our daily journaling. So we actually have a relation between our journal databases and the highlights database where every day we can just add something to the highlights database. And then again, New Year's Eve, we go through and we can read off the list. I've made a template for you to start from if you've never done this before. You don't really need to be an advanced Notion user to be able to use this highlights database. You can download it into your space and just use it as is, or as you get a little bit more familiar with Notion, maybe you want to do your daily journaling in Notion, there are some ideas to show you how to integrate that with a pre-existing database. So what does this actually look like? Here is an example of the highlights database. So this is the template that's got some instructions in it, explains a little bit about how it works and why you might want to do it. There are instructions here for how to use this database. And it's basically one simple database with a couple different views. So you can see here there's a calendar view. I've called this collect, and this is a place where you can just click and add a new entry. Snuggle with Mochi, my dog. And I can just say it's a general highlight. There's a couple templates in here already ready for you. You can add new templates if you want. All that really does is it adds a tag and an emoji, which again, you're welcome to change or use a custom emoji. So maybe I'll do that here. I'm gonna add a dog. There we go, snuggle with Mochi. And there are a couple properties here that may or may not make sense for you depending on whether or not you are sharing this database with anyone else. You could delete this created by if you're just using it on your own. Otherwise, you can have other people on your team share it with you if you want to. Maybe it's just something that you share with your partner. And so this calendar view just makes it really easy to add new entries. And then at the end of the year, or you could do this at the end of each quarter, the end of each month, it's really up to you. We like to do this all in one go at the end of the year. You can click on a different view here so you're not having to click through all of the calendar entries. And so basically this review view of the database will just show you all of the entries sorted by date ascending. And you can scroll through. Now, again, as you do these throughout the year, depending how often you add one, you could challenge yourself to add one every single day. Again, they can be really tiny. It can be just connecting with someone. It can be just something nice that happened, gratitude for something. All of it can be added here. And it's just a really nice thing to do at the end of the year. You also have the option, if you wanted to add an image to the body of those entries. So if I open this up, it's just a really simple image. And that way I can see a gallery view. And that's another just fun way to look at all of your highlights from the year in one go. It's really up to you what kinds of highlights you want to add. I've got a couple suggestions here. Again, just appreciating the great outdoors. Maybe it's making a connection with someone. There's personal highlights, personal milestones, lots of different things that you can add to this database. We add a lot of inside jokes and silliness to our database too, and it's always pretty humorous to go back and read them after the fact. So this template is kind of ready to go. You can go through and highlight all of these and delete, and you can start fresh. And the source database is tucked away here. And that way, for example, if you accidentally were to hit backspace and delete this, you still have the source database. All of the instructions are included here, including how you might integrate this into your own workspace if you want to do that. Otherwise, all you have to do is duplicate this template. If you've never used Notion before, it's one really simple database with just a couple properties, and the rest is up to you to make those adjustments. If I jump over to my own space where you can see a journal entry, for example, so this is today's entry, you'll see that there's a property here called Shared Highlight. If I click on that and edit the property, you can see that this is a relation, and it's a relation between my journal and my highlights database. And what this allows me to do is I can add highlights right from here. As soon as I'm opening up my journal to add the entry for today, I can go in there and add a shared highlight. So again, maybe I'll say snuggle mochi, and I can add that in there as a highlight. So that's been added to the highlights database. I can click on this and I can also apply a template and say snuggles were wonderful if I wanted to add a little bit more context. So that's just an example of how you might want to integrate your journal database with the highlights. And so this is something my husband and I do every day. We just kind of add a simple shared highlight, and then that way on New Year's Eve at the end of the year, we can go through, read them, laugh, connect together. It's just been a really fun New Year's Eve tradition. Highly recommend it, whether you're doing it with a jar or you're doing it in your Notion workspace. It's just a really nice way to remember what matters most. I hope if it's helpful for you, you consider adopting something like this highlights database. Maybe you want to use it for gratitude, wins, highlights, whatever that is for you. Don't be afraid to have fun with it and really make it your own. It's really fun to go back to older entries too. So I just opened this up to see what was one of my highlights from 2016, and it says mortgage approved. So that was just one of our really exciting memories when we first bought our house back in 2016. So again, they can be big highlights, small highlights, whatever it is. Have some fun, add it to your database, and review at the end of the year. And let me know how it goes. Are you going to integrate this new New Year's Eve tradition? Maybe you want to do it differently. Maybe you want to do it quarterly. I'm always curious to hear what others are doing. And maybe you've got some of your own really interesting New Year's Eve traditions. I'd love to hear. Don't hesitate to put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.